the former Tiger. Mitch Moses waiting on. We are underway on Easter Monday. It's the Tigers up against the Eels. Juggled kickoff by Benji Marshall, who's been in tremendous form in this second stint with the club that he began his career with. Change for the Tigers. Corey Thompson moving back to the wing. Tui Lola here, returning from a knee injury after missing their past 2 games. And on the second tackle, a penalty already from Gavin Badger.
And they signalled their intent right there, the Parramatta Eels. Unfortunately, just got a little bit eager and jumped the gun and give away a penalty. But I think it's clear the intent from the Parramatta Eels is going to be through a physical aspect.
No doubt Brad Arthur looking for an early response from his team to the form they've shown over the past 3 weeks. A better effort last week here against the Sharks, albeit still a losing one. There he is, watching on. He'll be a nervous coach at the moment. Cotonay gets out of dummy half and comes across to Robbie Rocco, who'll play it here for West at the halfway line. They go left this time. Russell Packer really helped to change the nature of this Tigers forward pack, along with Ben Martellino. And now Brooks from the Eels 40. It'll just bounce down to the sideline. Will Smith coming across. We'll watch it go into touch. A fairly conservative set from the Tigers. But they'll make the Eels work it away from inside their own 20.
It was a no-nonsense set, wasn't it? Great kick from Luke Brooks. Just probably wanted to sit it up and trap them in the corner, make them bring the football off their own line. But again, it's been such a feature, has the West Tigers defence in the early rounds of 2018.
Their handling has been their major issue, the Eels, completing at just around 40% for the season so far through the first 3 rounds. Their first chance here with the ball today is goes from Pritchard to the side today for Cameron King, who played for Wentworthville. Soundly beaten, went he, by West in the New South Wales Cup clash live on Fox League before this one. It's Alvaro to play it. Matt comes towards Martellino. Tackle was also there. Eisenhuth around the legs. They're 10 short of the halfway line for Nathan Brown. Really has been, especially in 2017, the spark plug for the Eels forward pack with his energy, enthusiasm, physicality he brings to his game. The kick goes down to Watene Zelezniak. Here is Lola here. Around to the outside, going a long way, linking up with Esan Masters, who's been in tremendous form in the opening 3 rounds of this new season. Player off contract at the end of 2018 as well. Making great strides to earn himself a new deal with Ivan Cleary and the Tigers. Watene Zelezniak coming in for a carry, brings it almost back to the 40. Has got an A, goes across to Chris Lawrence, pokes his nose through the line there. Taken by Kenny Edwards. In the starting side today, Edwards. Tepai Moreau will come off the bench. Now Brooks running a long way. Taken down by his old halves partner in Mitch Moses. Marshall. His decision-making has been tremendous. This kick, though, a little bit too big. They spent the end of their training session yesterday, the captain's run, practicing kicks. Exactly that nature. That one, though, a little bit too big through the end.
Well, some of his high kicks throughout the opening 3 rounds have been stunning and really have made the back 3, for whoever they played against, work hard to get that ball. That one just got it wrong, and it's a bit of a cross against your name when you put one into the in goal from that sort of position.
On the angle, Brown is a little in and away. So worked in behind the play the ball. Pritchard for Moses with Norman out the back. First man play for Edwards, who got it away. Clever hands from Kenny Edwards. Came back to Moses, who plays it here as Norman gets to first receiver. And now Alvaro will play it just outside the 20. Tackle number 7 coming up. That 20-minute restart as Moses chips it in behind. Lola here gets beaten for the ball. What an effort. Will Smith coming up with it has scored for the Eels.
Well, they've had problems with their fullback, and Will Smith gets a crack today. He is a talented footballer, Will Smith, and not surprised to see him pull off something like that. Out jumping Tuilola here. Moses just kicked it back towards the centre of the ruck. Purpose kick for Will Smith, who was on the chase, and just won that battle in the air. Gets the Eels a try. They've only scored 4 tries this year. That their 5th. It just might be their most important, as they get the jump on the West Tigers here on Easter Monday.
And it's hard to believe he's only played 39 games at first grade, this being his 40th. With the skill he possesses, the talent he has, he's probably been a victim of his versatility. He can cover so many positions in the back line, but he's a talent, there's no doubt about that.
He's just got that great instinct.
Yeah.
To know where the ball is, to know when to jump, and it doesn't matter what skill it is, whether it's a flick pass, or backing up someone with the ball. It's all instinctive from Will Smith. He's played in the halves, he's played at hooker. Had a pretty good career at Penrith before they grabbed him, the Eels, but Moses now with a chance to go to 6.
Which he successfully converts to make it 6 points to 0 after 6 minutes here at ANZ Stadium. On the sideline today is Brett Finch.
Yeah, thanks, Woz, and what a great start from Parramatta. I think Will Smith is probably the 4th choice fullback. You think Gutherson, French, Haynes been there, and Will, he was fantastic last year when spending a bit of time at the back. And you're right, Gaz, so much versatility. What a great player to have in your club. Great conditions down here, guys. Expect plenty of fast open footy to be played this afternoon.
For the first time this season, the Tigers concede a try in the opening half of a game. Their defence has been unrecognisable to that of recent seasons. Here's a Pritchard waiting on Benji Marshall, who supplied the kick that gave the Eels a chance. The 7-tackle set, they were in range for Moses to put the chip in. Will Smith to outleap Lola here. Just the sort of start the Eels fans were hoping for coming to ANZ here today. They'll work it up towards the 30 and play it there through George Jennings on that right edge. Josh Hoffman playing on this left-hand side for Brad Arthur today. Now Brown, the pass off the hand of Will Smith, knocked on. They're going to say yes eventually. There was a delay in the call of knock on, but no doubt it was.
Looked so good with Nathan Brown. He hit the ball at speed. He had a forward on the outside and decided to go back to Will Smith, who just wasn't ready for it. Will, if you're running that close and pushing up with that play, you got to expect it. That's exactly the error that you don't want to make after scoring first points.
And precisely the error they have been making through the first 3 games of the season. The Tigers win the scrum. Marshall goes across to Kevin Nagama. One of the real stars of the World Cup at the end of 2017. Emotional scenes before each and every game that Fiji played. He was front and centre. No prouder Fijian. Kevin Nangama. Martelino just outside the 20. Chance to hit back for Wes. As Brooks has players in motion around him. Lola Heel was there. Maybe too many players in close proximity there. They just got a bit bunched around Marshall. Rocco ended up with it as Marshall goes back to the middle. Packett spinning in the tackle. Offload it. Numbers there for the Eels, and Tigers have one more. Marshall out the back. Lola here. It comes to Masters. He puts a kick in. There's an ad-lib kick. Goes to Will Smith, who do well to stay in the field of play. In fact, he does. That was clever.
Well, just a lack of organisation there. They tried to shift to their right edge on 2 occasions, the West Tigers, but the timing was wrong. Rocco was out. They've got to adjust too. The line speed of Parramatta has been brilliant in the first 9 minutes.
That was Kirisomi Ava'a who kept Will Smith in the field then. He jumped in front of him, jumped onto the sideline and forced the littler man to stay in field.
And as we saw briefly, he's got a fair bit of padding on that lower left abdomen, hasn't he? Kirisomi Ava'a. They certainly had their injury issues at the beginning of this season, Parramatta, as Moses puts it in the air. It's got some hang time on it, but Malachi Watene-Zelezniak going back, the 26-year-old Older brother of Dallin, Tenny Zalesniak, the Panthers flyer. And we'll play it here. Now Corey Thompson. Tremendous job filling in at fullback while Lola here was out of action. And of course scored the winner against the Roosters back in round 1. From Lola here. Goes to the Tenny Zalesniak again. Second time he's got 2 carries and a set from their own end. Has got an A, feeds it across to Madalino. No Matt McKilrick on the bench today for Ivan Cleary. Jacob Little getting the chance for the first time in 2018, having had not 1 but 2 shoulder reconstructions in the off-season. Now Smith gets away from Masters and then ducks under the tackle of Thompson. Grabbed only just by Marshall.
VAR couldn't keep up with him then. He was supporting on the inside. Will Smith was looking for him. He had a little bit of some treatment down on the sideline. He might be in trouble,
He was off the pace of the fullback just then.
Great run from Will Smith.
Had he been there, VAR, there was something brewing. Something brewing here for Michael Jennings, but they wrap him up just outside the Tigers 20. Brooks and Ngama there to make the tackle. Edwards gives it back to Alvaro. Met solidly. Natalino over the top. Crunching tackle, and they've got one more. It's Norman this time who spins it back towards Moses. Numbers down the short side. Edwards a juggle. Then a Harlem Globetrotters pass. Tim Manor puts a grubber kick in. The Eels fans enjoyed that. And why wouldn't they?
I don't know comparing Tim Manor to Ryan James, but Ryan James supplied a kick and a try assist for the Titans last night. I think Timmy Manor might do a little bit less kicking than Ryan James, but he still got it right, the big fella.
It was a nice play, though, to go to Corey Norman, then back to the right edge. Look at the pass from Kenny Edwards. Tim Manor corner, didn't know what to do. Great little kick in off the shin. Doesn't matter where it comes from. It's the same result.
You're right, Gaz. Even more impressive. He kicked it with his knee.
Kane Evans, Bevan French, Jared Hayne beside themselves with glee on the Parramatta bench. Here he is, the grubber kicking specialist, Tim Manor. He'll be talking about that in the sheds after the game, no doubt, as Alvaro works it down. Another chance for the Eels, who lead at 6 points to 0. Norman for Moses. Well read by Chris Lawrence. They've done their homework on the pair, no doubt. The lead up to this game, and beautifully read by Lawrence there. Now Madalino. Well, Smith up there pushing up in support. Wanted a penalty for a high tackle, and rather slowly back to his feet. Kenny Edwards. You never know with Kenny, though, do you? Here's Norman. A full 360. It comes back to Smith. He grubbers this time. And, dare I say it, not as effective as Tim Manor.
They still had another tackle up their sleeve. Will Smith opting to kick. I guess he did that because there wasn't much else on. He could have taken the tackle. Talking about tackles, Jennings, George off his line.
A nice idea to spread it on their own line, the Tigers, but they pushed up hard, both Michael and George, and as it was in the opening set of the game, penalty against Parramatta to help West out of their own end.
And that breaks your heart. When you exert that much effort and get that sort of line speed, bang, George Jennings read the play beautifully, smothered them out, hits Nguama hard, but that only made 15, 20 metres, and now they concede a penalty.
The old Jennings right-hand side for Parramatta here today. Aaron Wallace has been feverishly working the numbers. He tells me that was Tim Manor's first ever kick in the NRL.
That's not surprising.
Well, Ryan James is a regular then. I think he's had about 10 kicks in his career, so puts Timmy to shame.
He's been hiding his light, Tim. We should see more of it from this point on. He's got the green light. Here's Madalino. Back to this right-hand side. Marshall looking for an option. Good enthusiasm there from the Tigers on this right-hand side. Eisenhuth was there. Rocco, they were slow to respond. Brooks taking it to the line. His pass goes to ground. Reminiscent of what happened last week against the Broncos for the Tigers. An attack stumbling at times. What was ultimately a 9-7 loss in Golden Point. Godinay feeds it across for Marshall, who looks left, comes back to the right-hand side. Basketball pass. Godinay, Masters, Rocco! Rocco will get there! The switch worked beautifully. Marshall went left, came back to the right, and they had them for numbers.
Well, wind the clock back, Benji Marshall. The big double left foot step. Saw that there was nothing on out to the left and just propped back off the left foot twice. There he goes for the gap, then bang, straight back off the left. Does up Tim Mena. Realise there's numbers out to the right. It's great hands. Masters to Rockow. And they strike back the West Tigers. But look at this brilliant footwork from Benji Marshall. Just Tim Mena does up crazy. Pritchard gets caught in there. But it was great work. Easton Masters does his job to hold the defender. Josh Hoffman in 2 minds. And well done, the West Tigers.
Robbie Rocco's first try since round 1 of 2015 when he was a Newcastle Knight. He's done a bit of travelling since then, hasn't he?
He has. Of course, the Melbourne Storm, South Sydney. He's at the West Tigers. It's been a weekend of players breaking their try droughts.
Yeah, at least
plenty of
an out.
Chris Hyington.
Plenty of first-timers, or first time for a long time. And it was clever stuff from Benji.
From the sideline. Tui Lolohea, who kicked one from this angle against the Roosters. He's done it again. He loves it. From out on the touchline, it's 6 apiece here at ANZ. What a shot this is. This beautiful Easter Monday afternoon. A good crowd in attendance, as you would expect. The Easter show just across the way as well. And the Tigers and the Eels, after a weekend of so much talk about the officials, they're going to show here today themselves. Kickoff goes down to Corey Thompson. And now it's spread again. Marshall comes across to Russell Packer. They're playing with confidence with the ball. A couple of times now they've been happy to work it on their own goal line across the face of the uprights. Chris Lawrence takes it up to be stopped there by Manor and also Brown. Here's Eisenhuth, standing in the tackle, big and rangy, can produce a pass, a second phase option. Marshall finds Rocco, the try scorer, spinning away from Nathan Brown, who needed help. He got it in the form of Manu Ma'u, but good meters there. Now Marshall, space to move in, and Lola here back on the inside, but they're back in the Eels territory. Godinay on the last, finds Luke Brooks, who'll put it in the air. Not a lot of depth on the kick. Some pressure here on George Jennings, who takes it pretty comfortably. And he'll begin this set for the Eels just outside their 20.
Well, they get through the set off the back of their points. That's 8 from 8. They've been perfect with the footy, the West Tigers, so far. Almost 20 minutes into the game.
Don't forget, you can keep track of what's happening right across the NRL via the Fox League app. You can go there and look at live stats as the match plays out here this afternoon between these two teams. Alva'a, despite that lower abdomen injury, full gallop there as Norman goes down the short side. Well picked up by Corey Thompson, who splits the gap between the chase of Hoffman and also Norman, and brings it back for a nice gain off the kick return for West.
He's sharp over 10, isn't it? Corey Thompson. Hard to handle. You don't want to give him any space.
He's proven himself to be a very good finisher. Both his time in the NRL and also the UK Super League. He's scored 57 tries in 85 games across both competitions. Of course, began his career with the The Bulldogs back in 2014 as Brooks was just about away. Grabbed only just by Alvaro and also Manu Ma'u. Here's Lolohea putting a kick in, getting it to sit down, hopefully for him. Will Smith will pick it up and then try and fight his way back, and just about did. Good chase and kick by Tui Lolohea.
Yeah, and took a few teammates down there with him. Will Smith was centre field. Lolohea realised that and just dropped it in between the corner post and the uprights. Oh, he might have been tempted to let it bounce one more time, Will Smith, but probably had to play at it with still a couple of metres short of the dead ball line. Energetic stuff from the Tigers.
And I've really enjoyed the last two sets from the West Tigers. They're prepared to move their football to the left. They're really trying to isolate Mitchell Moses, but more importantly, it's moving the forward pack of the Parramatta Eels around, which is exactly what Manly did, and we saw the end result there.
It's not quite 40 degrees here today as it was at Brookvale 2 weeks ago, but it is warm. Better start today, though, by Parramatta, but they're under pressure here as Eisenhuth takes it down to the 20. Lino winding up on the left-hand side, and he mistimed the play there between Godinay, and now a knockdown by Edwards. It'll be 6 more tackles for the Tigers as Godinay picks it up. Marshall turns Lolohea back underneath. He's always had a tackle-busting ability, and he was not too far away from beating both Pritchard and also Ma'u right there. Martolino again, Packer pushing up in support. He's only a couple of metres out when he'll play it. They look right, there's a mistake in the play, the ball.
They still had 5 tackles left. Boy, might have got lucky with a Parramatta touch and the attention to detail.
It was on that left edge as well.
Yeah, they were screaming for help, weren't they, the right edge defenders for the Eels. They needed some support, and that's the way the Tigers were going. An opportunity missed there, because that was a massive test for the Eels. I don't know where the Eels sit at the moment if they give up another try pretty quickly.
Well, hang on this time around and walk it forward through Kirisomi Alva'a. Handling has been very good for both teams. That, in fact, was the first mistake made in the game by the Tigers. 10 of 11 they've completed. The Eels are 7 from 8. Here's Moses to kick from well inside the 40. Didn't quite have the angle on it, but he was thinking 40-20. It goes to Lolohea to bring it back, and then coming up, Alva'a tries to make a straight line. They get to Lolohea and taking back inside the 30.
Well, tackle 3 kicks, so it was all set up for the 40-20. I'm not sure. And the shift here from the Tigers, they're a bit thin, the Eels. It was quite breezy when we were down on ground in the pre-game, Gaz. I'm not sure whether that breeze favours any one of the teams.
Third penalty of the game goes to the Tigers. It's 3-0 their way. And this latest one will have Parramatta under pressure once again.
And again, them long passes, those long passes, the big shifts to the left. Brad Arthur would be quite concerned. The way the big forward pack is getting moved around, I really sense there's been just they're a bit lethargic in the last 10 minutes, the Parramatta Eels. They haven't had a lot of football, and it also nullifies their line speed of the Parramatta Eels, the big shift to the left.
Pass at the line from Lawrence had Godinay under massive pressure there. He did well. The hooker to hang on to it. Wore a shot, though, for his trouble, and he might be a little bit sick and sorry. It was a hospital pass of the highest order.
Yeah, plenty of courage to take it.
Here he is, a dummy half, going to Brooks with numbers in motion around him. Marshall goes over the top. Mangama for the corner. It's gone very close. In fact, with a second effort, if he wasn't tackled, this will be a try. Gavin Badger looks to be comfortable with it. Doesn't need the bunker. And Benji Marshall has caught out the Eels again.
Well, there was a human pinball, Nguama. Amazing strength to get all the way to the line. It was a beautiful work play down the left edge. They'd gone there the majority this afternoon. Luke Brooks goes out the back to Benji Marshall. You mentioned it was great pass selection straight over the top to Nguama. Look at that. Bumps Moses, rolls over, gets past Kenny Edwards, and somehow gets the football down.
She had a good shot at him, Mitchell Moses, and both players fell off the tackle. There he is, shrugging away from Moses. He'll be disappointed with that. Jennings over the top, and no one had a hand on him when he was on the ground, so he was allowed to go forward and improve his position and get himself into the in-goal area. Good, quick catch and pass there from Benji Marshall. Rushing defence had him under pressure, but he still found that man, and he found the try line.
He signed a one-year extension during 2017 to remain a Tiger for this season. He's off contract at the end of 2018. In past seasons playing predominantly on the right-hand side. He and others were criticised for their defence, but you could say that right across the board as far as the Tigers were concerned, but certainly found a home out there on the left edge in 2018. And now Lola here, another tough one. Seems to be how he likes them best, up against the sideline. To make it a converted try, the difference. Strike is good, hooking back off the uprights and in. Tui's all smiles, and so are the Tigers fans. Ivan, he's stoic as ever. It's 12-6, Brett Finch.
It certainly is, and while the Eels scored first, it's been all Tigers since then. They've slowly just crawled their way back into the game. Now they're up by a converted try. The wind's swirling quite heavily down here, boys. Probably behind Parramatta, if anything. But all the ascendancy with the Tigers at the moment.
Well, it was that tackle 40-20 attempt that turned the ball over early to the West Tigers. They were able to work it down. Where are the Eels mentally? This is a side that hasn't won a game this season. They've just given up back-to-back tries. Have they got any fight in them?
It's a former Eel and Alex Twal who brings it back. Play it here just inside the 20.
Off the ball, Kenny.
Changes in the forward pack for both teams, with Tepai Moiroa out there now on that right-hand side for the Eels, defending inside Michael Jennings. Now Brooks. Back to the middle of the field. Decides to hang on to it. Got an able weight at dummy half. A play 5. Here's Twal again. It's Marshall on the last to do the kicking. Didn't strike it as he would like, though. It bounces into no man's land. There's a problem here. Touched by George Jennings. It comes to Chris Lawrence. Boy, what an opportunity missed by the Tigers. It's going to be a penalty against the Igers. Is it for George Jennings being...
Bumped him in the air.
Bumped him before he had a play at the ball, wasn't it?
He's taken away any chance.
He said bumped him in the air.
Taking away any chance to have a play at the ball.
Fair enough, because it can't be for a mid-air tackle because the ball had bounced.
Yep.
So watch this again. Jennings underneath him there. I don't know that Jennings had any, or rather, Nangama had any idea where the ball was. He was denied the chance to make a catch. And the Eels get their first penalty of the game.
Boy, didn't they need it. There was trouble there if the Tigers came up with the ball and had a set of 6.
It wasn't the kick that Marshall was looking for. Boy, it worked out almost beautifully. Instead, Parramatta get the penalty, and here they are.
Well, those missed kicks can sometimes be the most dangerous because you just don't get to them on the full.
It's Norman. Going out to Moses. Too much speed for Lawrence, and likewise for Brooks on the angle. Michael Jennings cut down eventually by Nangama, and also Ateni Zalesniak as Norman chips getting to the in-goal area. He left. In fact, they're going to say he was back in the in-goal area, Esan Masters. It looked for a moment as though he'd left the ground from the field of play.
Yeah, I was with you, I thought he left it in the field of play. I thought he was going to leave it for Thompson.
You know how often these blokes get it right on that butt, even when it looks like the other way around to what they've called.
That's true.
And it was a big call.
7 tackles for the Tigers off the back of it. Josh Alloyer is out there now. Here's Twile again. Gets an offload away. Comes back to Godinay working in traffic. He had Brooks pushing up. Marshall was there as well. He couldn't link with either of them. In fact, now he's clutching at the back of his head or neck. After a bit of work in that tackle.
He's been knocked around a couple of times, Godinay. Alex Twile getting that ball free. He's like a colossus. Sometimes he can just stand there. Doesn't matter how many are hanging on to him. Godinay shrugs out of that tackle. And they come again. A little bit of pressure on the neck. I guess he sat down. It's always awkward when you're sitting down into the tackle. When you go backwards onto your backside, there's always the chance of that head crusher situation, and probably the swinging arm probably helped.
Yeah,
So it wouldn't be a surprise at all if there's a penalty coming here for Godinay and the Tigers. In a fairly extravagant fashion that as a Pritchard used. Take him to ground. He's going to come from the field for the head injury assessment. They'll give Jacob Little his chance to return. First time since round 15 last season. Godinay, who's been good in the opening month for the Tigers, replaced a player who's had enormous raps on him all the way through his chance with the NRL. Hails from the Central Coast. And as we mentioned not that long ago, had not one but both shoulders reconstructed in the off-season. And he's back a little later than expected because can't do them both at the one time. Had to do one, then wait and do the next one as the kick from Brooks has them under pressure again. George Jennings wraps it up. They've earned themselves another goal line dropout.
And I like that from Luke Brooks. Great speed from Kevin Nguama, but just it puts doubt in George Jennings' mind as to whether to play up and in. You can tell he wants to play up and in defence with his brother, but this will just keep him in two minds and make him think twice.
And that is something that he's improved out of sight compared to what he was doing last year. I remember so many games last year where he just clattered the ball into legs and it would bounce anywhere. This year he's finding the space.
Dropout bounces down to Lola here. Twal to bring it back. Oh, cuffed around the chin by Kenny Edwards.
Wait.
Well, we're 10 minutes short of half-time. This is another massive defensive set, and there's the arm of Edwards just sliding up. And look at Twal. It didn't affect him at all. Got a smile on his face. This is big.
No thought of 2 points. Good positive signs.
10 out from half-time. It's Eisenhuth to play it here as Little from dummy half goes across to Robbie Rocco. They're in a three-man tackle. Bo Scott around the legs. Too slowly off Rocco. And with a 12-6 lead, you'd imagine, as the trend has been all season for all teams, they'll take the two. It's almost as if there's been an edict in the off-season telling teams when you're close, you just have to take the two every time. I mean, there were teams who did it, teams who didn't do it, but now it's right across the board.
Well, because the odds are, at this stage of the season and what the referees are trying to do, they know that they're going to get more than one penalty.
Brad Arthur there must be banking on a thirsty out.
Would we have kicked as many penalties we did for
Aaron?
The man's onto it.
He's Two terrific so far. This one front, he makes it an 8. Eels. Hannah Hollis is also with us on the sideline today, along with Brett Finch. And she's enjoying the action down there, no doubt, Brandy.
Plenty of atmosphere down there was. Probably nice and loud as well. Plenty of ball for the West Tigers. 16 of 17, 9 from 10. The Eels pretty good with it. Just a lot less of it.
It's Rocco. Who earned the penalty. Gave them this 8-point buffer. Aloye. Beyond the 20. Stopped there. Down low by Kaiser Pritchard. Now Brooks. For Chris Lawrence. Still just 29 years of age, Chris Lawrence. Little has been around forever. Here is Little galloping into space. Going past Smith. Grabbed from behind. And a good tackle there. It was made by Penny Terapo. Brooks it is, who finds Marshall. A step, a hop, into a gap. A pass back on the inside for Rocco, who might have been tackled without the ball. They're happy that that was okay. And that will be the last.
Well, I thought he would have just dumped it onto the toe, Benji Marshall, but it was great vision. They had numbers, but he had to straighten up the attack, and he did that. And the space just opened right up. But here's the break, Little. Great acceleration to get through a tired Parramatta ruck. Did the right thing, held the football because he couldn't get it through. And then they had great numbers out to the right, but Benji just couldn't execute.
Up, Alex! Hold, Matt! Hold!
A run by Jacob Little.
Well, the boy with all the potential just opened the Eels up. And in the end, it was just terrific scramble, desperation stuff from the Eels that prevented another West Tigers try.
Jacob!
And the Eels.
Good early, mate.
And their second penalty of the game. See if they can offer in this next set after Norman finds the line. To this point, they're handling both teams. And terrific warm, dry afternoon. The Eels 10 of 11 completed. What have they got here? Chance to put some real pressure on West as Pritchard waits. Moses, close hand there at first receiver. Terapo. Not much line speed through the middle there for the Tigers. It's Norman. As Ma'u going with him. Rocco, Marshall, Aloye all involved in making the tackle. Midway through this set from Norman. Shows it, goes in behind Scott Moses. Smith is to the outside of Nangama. Attending to Lesniak did well. It was 1 on 3. He had to make the stop, and he did. Both Jennings brothers were there waiting for it. Here's Norman. Marshall was up quickly there and almost left a gap on the outside of Rocco. Made a good tackle. Was there a little bobble there from Ma'u? The kick comes back to Moses. Knocked on
First one,
by Parramatta.
Change over.
There was a touch from both players, and Moses can't believe it. Gavin Badger right on the spot. Thought the first one came from that man.
The ball ended up in the air. How did it get up in the air? Well, Isan Masters knocked it up in the air. It was a knock. Once Moses touched that ball, that's it. It's a Parramatta advantage, and they didn't get the rub of the green. You can understand why Mitch Moses had a bit to say to the referee.
Tough call there against the Eels as Lawrence plays it. And Thompson out of dummy half goes to Lola here. Eisenhuth playing in that left-hand side. That's a one-on-one tackle there and a quick play the ball. And now Little's almost away again. The first receiver, he just about gapped them once more. Marshall, this time he gets the spiral he's been looking for. It swings away from Smith. That's the one he was practicing ad nauseum after training yesterday. And that was perfect.
And Brandy mentioned it. The kicking of Benji Marshall has been potent. in the early rounds this season. The high balls, the floaters, the spirals. But I love Little is getting the benefit of all the way the Tigers moved the football through that patch where they dominated possession. The ruck of Parramatta, it's shot. That's a tough one for Will Smith. They've already conceded 6 tries through the middle of the Parramatta Eels. I'll tell you what, I think the Tigers, that's where they'll be next to strike.
Just dipped away from him at the end, and Benji terrorised Billy Slater and Suliasi Vunivalu down there in Melbourne. Here they come, the Tigers.
I tell you know who else he terrorised yesterday? Brett Hodgson, the great former West fullback, who was underneath the practice kicks from Benji Marshall. And poor old Brett Hodjo is having a tough time with Benji spiralling them like that. Here's Eisenhuth standing in the tackle, pops it back. Little goes wide. Here's a chance. Lawrence, a cut-out ball! Put down by Watene Zeleznia.
Michael Jennings never made the line.
The Tigers are going to get a penalty anyway for Michael Jennings being offside, but
Exactly right, and he's got to get to the goal line.
they look certain to score.
Well, they did. Little threw the long one out there, and that opened it up for Chris Lawrence. They had a 3-on-2. Lawrence looked like he did everything right. Eisenhuth crashes into the line, offloads. Let's stay with live play. They've taken the tap.
And 5 metres out. Here's Eisenhuth. His pass goes to ground. Esan Masters has to clean it up, and with not much doing, it might be best advised to take a tackle instead. To listen to me, he passes it to Benji Marshall. And it's Twall. Pritchard coming up looking for a shot. They played in front of the uprights. Little. Eisenhuth. Got options either side. Marshall to the left. Lola here, out here on the right-hand side. Masters stops, starts, gives it to Thompson! Corey Thompson. He's going to claim one. Gavin Badger. And the sideline official have a view on it. And they'll refer it up
I have a try.
as try.
Can you confirm that the ball touches the goal line, please?
I don't think he got there. Easton Masters was over the line. He could have scored himself. Hoffman slides out late. Easton Masters could have walked over. Steps back inside. Great right foot step. Ava'a comes late. Oh. Well, hold on.
Wow. Well, it touches the line, and I guess...
But it hits the corner post simultaneously.
It does.
There isn't a frame there which has the ball
Touching the
on
grass
the turf without
before.
touching the corner post.
No. So it's on the sideline.
It's funny, though. You would have to assume that the ball being round, that bottom bit would have to touch the ground before the outside where it rolls back up. He did go try on field.
Well, that's important, because if you can't conclusively say that it didn't touch the ground before it hit the corner post, then
I think they're going to. I think they're going to award it, because I think that they're going to say that it's touched the line there, but it is touching the corner post.
well, forced to make a call, I would say it was touching the corner post in that frame, but you probably wouldn't win a court case on it.
I think it's a try.
I think they'll give it.
Corey Thompson maintains possession. The ball touches the goal line. There's insufficient evidence to conclude otherwise that the ball touches the touchline. We have a decision.
And after all that, they did it the hard way. Because Easton Masters, he could have just strolled over. He had Ava'a done all ends up. And that hurts Parramatta on the stroke at half-time.
Oh, boy, doesn't it? Doesn't it? They had a try begging on the other side of the field only moments earlier with Malachi Watene Zelezniak spilling the pass from Chris Lawrence. And then, well, Corey Thompson's shown that it's an art. You don't have to be a big athletic man to get the ball into the corner. Your Masters was over the line. They held off. He ended up 5 metres into the in-goal area.
I think he likes Thompson. He's doing him a favour.
Well, Corey Thompson still had plenty of work to do, didn't he? With Hoffman reading the pass, but just sliding straight off him, fractionally out. That's all it was, a fraction out of stopping a try.
He did amazingly well. The more I look at that, jeez.
Because you were sure live that he hadn't scored.
I thought he was out, yeah. Live, it looked like he'd put the ball out.
Well, we said earlier on.
I think there's still a good case for it.
Possibly. 58 tries now in 86 games of top-grade rugby league across the NRL and the UK Super League for Corey Thompson. Now Lola here is striking them nicely. He can't miss. On the stroke of half-time, the Tigers add 6 points, and it's a big lead against the battling Eels. 18 seconds remaining with time off at the moment. It's 20 points to 6 to West. Off the back of the penalty set, Michael Jennings ruled to have been offside. Get another chance and make them pay. Now Will Smith gets things back underway. Sounding like Adam Badger's whistle might need replacing. Didn't sound too healthy right there as he blew time back on. It's 12 to play it. The Tigers will have one more play here. There'll be a safety first play, you'd imagine, from Robbie Rocco. And at half-time, it's the Tigers on track for their 3rd win of the season. They lead the Eels 20 points to 6, 3 tries to 1. Both teams will be auctioning off their jerseys for this round as well. Ralph Kelly, father of Thomas and Stuart, a big Tigers fan. Stuart was an avid Eels man as well. And they're both supporting the Stay Kind Cup through their jerseys, which will be auctioned off beyond this game today. Benji Marshall gets us underway. The Tigers by 14, looking for win number 3 this season. Terapo bringing it back at speed, met there by a solid wall of white jumpers. What a difference an off-season has made for this West defensive line. In 2018, under the coaching of Ivan Cleary, a full off-season to work on their systems. The coach was talking yesterday about the work started by Andrew Webster when he took over the coaching from Jason Taylor before Ivan Cleary linked with the Tigers. Really showing the benefits of that full off-season with those defensive systems in place. Comes to Norman. Tepai Moiroa, who Brad Arthur singled out during the week, saying one of our best for the first 3 rounds has been the former Newington College rugby star. The kick, an awkward one here for Lola here. How did he reel that in? He was on his bike looking up, trying to get a bead on the ball, and somehow didn't knock it on.
Well, he was midfield and he had to run 20 or 30 metres to pick up that kick there from Mitch Moses. He hooked it back down that left side of the field. Terrific take.
Solid contact there on Josh Alloye. Has got an A from dummy half. And across to this left-hand side for Kevin Mangama to play it 9 short of the halfway line. Turns to Lesnier. Gets under the tackle there of Moiroa. The Tigers a chance here. Put some pressure on the Eels back 3. In fact, they run it on the last. Brooks at the death chips it over the top. Where Smith out here on this right edge. And Josh Hoffman covering that other side of the field. And Hoffman has barely had a touch of the ball. And you see in the background there, has some very heavy strapping on that left thigh. Comes to Hoffman now. That's a chance to go at them. Twall is there. Eisenhuth underneath. Lawrence as well. Now Bo Scott runs towards Luke Brooks. Speaking of defensive improvements, much improved halfback defensively is Luke Brooks. Now Smith towards Benji Marshall. The veteran wraps him up. And the Eels will have one more here from about 33 away. Goes to Norman, who will Rubber down to Lola here. It'll be too big. Unlucky there was Corey Norman. Just refused to sit up off a point.
Yeah, did not look like he kicked that too hard. And it just wouldn't pop up in the air for him. And kept rolling and rolled hard over the dead ball line. 7 tackles now for the West Tigers. They're handling Norman and Moses well, because Norman and Moses are running and engaging the defenders. They're running at the defensive line, but the Tigers are just sliding across the face and handling the runners out the back. It hasn't caused them that much of a problem yet.
Tigers going nowhere here, though, on back-to-back plays. Mangala doing nothing, and now, as a result, pressure on Alex Twall. Plenty of line speed there from the Parramatta Eels as Marshall turns it back on the inside for Eisenhuth. Now Godinay, grabbed by Moiroa. They've made hard work of the metres in this set of 6, but they will get to their kick without incident. Marshall got it away just in time, and now Smith standing underneath it. Confidence building take by him after putting one down, which had them under pressure in the first half. He's got some speed as well, but so does Corey Thompson, and he's made a mistake.
He's strong too, Will Smith, but have a look at Benji Marshall here, the effort to come in and cover defend. It's hurt Will Smith as well. Now, I've got to say, I've never seen Benji Marshall defend this good as he has in 2018. Gets rid of Masters, bumps him off. Will Smith, again, so deceptively strong, and Benji Marshall comes over the top. Well, it's a hand.
Boy, he was unlucky there. Corey Thompson just whacking it out of his grip.
Might be winded at the moment. Don't forget, plenty more rugby league chat coming your way tonight, right here on Fox League NRL 360. After this, with Ben Eichen and Paul Kent, it's Coaches Night. And the special guest will be Bulldogs coach Dean Pay. That is right after Tigers and the Eels. And then following 360, the weekend wrap, as usual, with Yvonne Sampson, Mick Ennis, James Hooper along. Special guest tonight, Dragons and England forward James Graham. And Controversy Corner, featuring Heaps Hughes, Walker Roach, Buzz Rothfield and Billy Harrigan. And the boys have been mixing it up. It's no holds barred on Controversy Corner on the weekend wrap.
That's a massive night of footy.
It is. Can't wait to see what everybody's got to make of this weekend. There's been a couple of talking points come out of round 4.
That's right. We have been going since Thursday. There is a bit to talk about.
5 straight days of rugby league. Because let's face it, too much footy is never enough. The Tigers, they're enjoying their footy. Here's Marshall back on the inside for Thompson. Grabbed there by Will Smith, who's recovered pretty quickly and gives away a penalty.
Yep.
They lead by 14. Do you take the 2 here? I know it has been a trend, but they will ignore that. Instead of going for 16, they want 20 plus. It's Twall playing it. Tries from Brooks back on the inside here for Chris Lawrence. This is a massive set defensively for the Eels early in the second half, trailing by 14 points. It's too easy. Matt Eisenhuth gets across the line, grabs the first try of 2018 for his tally. They have absolutely swamped him.
And they peppered Mitchell Moses in the first half, particularly towards the middle chunk where they dominated possession, and that's exactly what they're doing here. Great work from Benji Marshall inside to Thompson. Gets Moiroa chasing, but then the double-up play. They swing left and they get the decoy. Have a look. Eisenhuth goes, look at Mitchell Moses coming out of the line. You can't do that. He just isolates Will Smith, who's such a small guy. He panicked, and you can see the disgust. Michael Jennings has a word to Mitchell Moses after that happens and basically said there's no need to come out of the line.
He overread things, and he saw his roommate, the man that shares a house with him, Luke Brooks, coming around the back. Moses came out of the line thinking that he was the intended ball receiver, but it was the lead runner in Eisenhuth. And he's grabbed a try that, boy, that really hurts the Eels. That really does hurt.
He's been good this year too, Eisenhuth.
He was good last year as well, get a chance in that second half of the season. 15 games in to his career. He opens up his account, and the Eels, they are up against it now. Their possession, they are struggling to get their hands on the ball consistently. In 2018, right now the Tigers 64% of the ball, the Eels 36% again today. Their numbers are going south.
And they've only had 5 tackles inside the Tigers' 20. So no ball in good field position.
Lola here for a 20-point lead. They had the option of going for 2, but they get 6 instead. It's proving to be the sort of afternoon they were hoping for coming here today. Another big crowd on Easter Monday. Bulldogs and Rabbitohs drew in excess of 30,000 here on Friday. Despite the Eels' 0-3 record, plenty of their fans still made the trek here today up the road on the M4, Parramatta Road. Unfortunately for them, the tough start of the season continues on.
Well, I think, like many, they were expecting the Eels in their desperate condition to come up with something special. And it's not. It's the team that has 1-2, beaten the Roosters, the Storm, only just knocked off by the Broncos last week. And while all the talk was about their defence, their attack had been struggling a bit. They'd only scored 3 tries in those 3 games. They've scored 4 tries here today at ANZ Stadium.
Now 12 brings it back to the halfway line. They've got one more play here. We'll get a halftime report from Brett Finch in a moment. As the kick goes down to Will Smith. Take it on the 10. Bring it back, and we stop there just outside their own red zone. Finchy, what were they thinking downstairs at halftime?
Yeah, boys, out of the Tigers camp was obviously all smiles from their coach, Ivan Cleary. Was happy with the teams going, really happy with the energy and enthusiasm they were showing, happy with their kicking game and their kick chase. He wanted to keep that up. Out of Parramatta's camp, discipline was the big word. Brad Arthur was filthy with their discipline. Said they need to improve that. When they improve that, they'll see the possession even out.
Here is Moses. It's across to the left-hand side for Corey Norman. Nama'u slipping out of dummy half. It comes back here for Will Smith to try and beat Alex Twall. Chris Lawrence helps out. And they've got one more play here from 40 away as Moses puts it in the air. It's an end-over-end kick. An easy catch for a good athlete like Malachi Lesniak, player who was a real star coming through, played in the under-20s for the Panthers back in 2009 and just lost the motivation to go on with the job. And it was only when his younger brother Dallin made his first grade debut that really sparked him back into action. And here he is.
Yeah, he's done a great job. And that was a field position kick really from Moses. Wasn't high enough for his chase to get down there. It was never going to really be a chance to produce something. And they need results from everything from now on.
That they do. 26-6. Half an hour remaining though here. And Marshall from inside the 40 hooks it across the face of Will Smith, who lets it bounce. He's continuing to just terrorise fullbacks in 2018. What a hand he's playing, and then Smith bringing it back, slipping as he comes towards Godineau.
Yeah, well, he set up for a 40. He liked the chances of kicking a 40-20, but the winger had dropped back on the other side of the field. And that was Josh Hoffman, so he hooked it back. Another clever kick from Benj.
Here's Pritchard. Goes to Tony Williams, getting his first touch with the Parramatta Eels. He was with the Sharks last season. It was another tough 12 months of football for Tony Williams. His time with the Sharks began with a hamstring strain. Never really got a chance to catch on with them.
Well, he's back where it started.
He is.
10 years, a decade away from the Eels, a Parramatta junior.
Turns your mind back, he was a barnstorming winger in his time with the Eels, and then snapped up by the Sea Eagles. He's on to the Bulldogs, of course, and the Sharks, and now back at Parramatta.
I remember playing in his debut, boys, out in the wing. He steamrolled about 8 people, and the T-Rex was born.
As a winger, he could make the sun disappear. Very large man who was very quick at that stage. Now Brooks back on the inside. Lola here pushing up through the middle, getting out towards S.N. Masters. Just takes the tackle. And we've got one more here up against the sideline. It wasn't ideal for Lola here to get caught there. Now it's the last. Marshall runs it. Masters just flings it back on the inside. It comes unstuck though. Still a little bit of the old Benji there, taking a chance on the last play to try and catch them out. Wasn't too far from doing so.
No, Tuilola here just needed to stay alive. I think they thought he was going to push up on the outside of Eastern Masters, but I love that sort of play.
George Jennings it is for Parramatta. Just dying for some field position here to put some pressure on the Tigers' defensive line, but they've been so good. There's Brooks. Slow down the play, the ball of Terapo. Now Moses down the short side. Spins it back on the inside. A Benji flick pass for Williams. He was trying to link up with Michael Jennings. Lola here picks it up. A counter-attack by the Tigers. And he brings it back to almost the 40. What a pass from Moses.
It was brilliant, wasn't it? Flicked it back on the inside to Tony Williams. What about the pickup? Oh, he's lucky there. What about the pickup from Tuilola here? Here go the Tigers.
Michael Cheekham links up with S.N. Masters. Marshall did so well. Masters gets to Will Smith. Gives it to Thompson. Thompson for a second. And he gets it. Haven't they got some speed from one end to the other? It all looked okay, but Gavin Badger wants to check it.
Can you just confirm where Corey Thompson comes from the play before?
Well, what a counter by the Tigers. Tuilola here playing the ball after scooping it up. Moses and Williams almost creating an opportunity for the Eels. They spin it wide. The long ball there from Godinay almost had Benji, well, under pressure. Steps, gets inside Hoffman.
Players are in play from the previous play, the ball.
And then Isam Masters beats a Parramatta player and holds it up long enough.
Corey Thompson remains in the field of play and grounds the ball. We have a decision.
Great show of strength from Isam Masters, and then the support play from Corey Thompson, who scores his second of the day. Terrific footy from the Tigers.
And what a great young talent he is, Masters. Great on his feet, strong, quick. But I just can't believe the edge defence of the West Tigers. It's a shadow of themselves to 2017. And that's what lays the foundation. But then they have the ability to do that, the counter-attack, the pick-up from Tuilola here, the shift out to the right-hand edge to that man, Masters. It's just a matter of the West Tigers finding that balance. I love that they prioritised defence and controlling the football in the early rounds of the 2018 season, and now attack is what comes naturally. Defence is all attitude, and they've got that base now.
Gaz, you just spoke about the edge defence of the Eels and the difference in 2018 to what it was last year. And Josh Hoffman, who was out of the line, realised the long ball was coming to Benji. Benji stepped in far too easily. You know, if you're going to come off your line like that, you need to make the stop. And Benji was good enough to link with Masters, who then linked and found Corey Thompson.
They managed to score only 27 points. And moving to this 2-1 record over the first 3 rounds, the Tigers have eclipsed that total here today. And we've still got 25 minutes remaining. And if Parramatta can't find something, they face a second half century in the space of 3 games being scored against them. Lola here, this one swings across the face. It stays at 30 points to 6.
Yeah, boys, what a terrific rap for Coach Ivan Cleary. When you look across this team, all these players in career best form. Luke Brooks playing the best he has. Benji rediscovered his best footy late in his career. Masters, Thompson, all these lesser-known players really playing high-quality footy. Brandy, what a great rap on Ivan Cleary and what he's doing there at the Tigers.
Great job. Finchy, you're right. Fantastic start, but you listen to all the Tigers players and they say it started before round 1 this year. It was an off-season where they bonded and they're playing like a team that's been together for years.
Here is Russell Packer bringing it away for the Tigers. There's a problem.
Just leave him, boys. Just leave him, boys.
Pritchard.
Just leave him, boys.
Who's had just a shocking run of injuries.
Well, he definitely puts his body on the line, doesn't he? Kaiser Pritchard. Let's hope he's okay here, but he doesn't go into tackles half-hearted, that's for sure. Oh, elbow.
Jeez.
Just an awkward one. Almost bouncing off Nathan Brown into Kaiser Pritchard and then falling on top of him. Almost 3 of them as a result. That serious knee injury last year where he tore his lateral collateral and posterior cruciate ligaments in a win against St George Illawarra right here. Then incredibly made it back for the semi-finals. He played against North Queensland in that loss as the Cowboys moved on to the grand final. But he's also had shoulder problems, both pec muscles. Had significant tears in either of them in his career as well.
Had a groin problem to start the season. He's had a wretched run.
The good thing is he's moving his neck freely there, which is a really good sign, but obviously he'll go off for a head injury assessment. And let's hope his cheekbone's okay as well.
Just a reminder again about 360 coming up after this. NRL 360, Ben Eichen and Paul Kent. And then the weekend wrap. Yvonne Sampson, Mick Ennis and James Hooper. The star-studded cast in Controversy Corner as well, along with James Graham. Enjoying his football, no doubt. St George Illawarra. What a scene that was yesterday as Pritchard comes from the field here at ANZ to see an almost capacity crowd down there in Wollongong. Great scenes, and what a brand of football the Dragons are playing. Time back on. And check out Kaiser Pritchard. Could be pretty good walking back to the dressing room there, given the nature of the collision. Boy, it was an awkward one. Rocco will play it. Got an A. Dummy half. Packer. To slow play the ball as comes to Luke Brooks to kick from inside the 40. He has the angle on the kick and he's done it. It crossed the chalk just inside the 20 and the Tigers will hang on to possession here.
And it was really smart play. Will Smith had followed Benji Marshall. He was sitting on Benji Marshall's right foot. Luke Brooks sensed that, overruled him, called the football, and Jennings had to stay up because they had numbers down the short side.
That's the joy of having a left footer.
Exactly.
Luke Brooks, a left foot kick, a beauty.
Here's Rocco. Try in the first half to get them going after they conceded the opening try to Will Smith. Oh, Marshall ball back on the inside for Cheekham. He's only a metre out. Has got an A weights. Runs a long way backwards from dummy half to link up with Brooks. First man play for Lawrence. Good tackle by Mitchell Moses. Go back to the open side. Gordonay's kick. Well, that was almost out on the full. It was so big.
It's a shame because that play was on. Will Smith was caught into the defensive line. There was a lot of space in behind the goalpost. Just too big.
The opportunity was there, but the execution really was lacking on the dummy half.
Just those two plays, though, the smarts that the Tigers are playing with.
Exactly.
The 40-20 from Luke Brooks, and then the kick from Godinay got the execution wrong, but if he gets it into the in-goal area, it's another Tigers try.
Norman and Moses combining in the middle of the field. Williams asking some questions on this left-hand side of the Tigers defensive line. Grabbed there by Lawrence and also Brooks. Norman gives it to Alvaro. Tough time denting the line here today. Now Brown in there at dummy half, taking over from Kaiser Pritchard. Kenny Edwards popped it back. He was looking to Will Smith, but there was Michael Cheekham to grab it. Didn't knock it on, and now Esan Masters does very well. Nathan Brown coming across. And he gives him the full Brown treatment.
And again, we spoke about it before the game. The scramble defence and the willingness to cover one another from the West Tigers. Cheekham had no right to turn up there and did. He was the first to the football.
Russell Packer had the chance for an offload, but hung on to it. Their completion rate. The Tigers, 29 of 31 they've completed. We've got a quarter of the game remaining. There is no secret to how you win football games. Good defence. Into the possession and play for each other. And now Marshall's kick finds the touchline, coming through quickly. Teniza Lesniak wasn't too far away from pulling their pants down.
Well, it's another one of those kicks where Benji, I think it looks like he's trying to put a spiral on the ball, but it's almost as effective when you don't hit it sweet. You just, no one has a clue where the ball will bounce, and they're so hard to get to on the full. They don't go as high as what a spiral does. They dip. And they've caused all sorts of problems for back threes this year.
Imagine this good crowd again at ANZ Stadium today, in excess of 30,000, 30,420. Tigers fans in that shot, they must be beside themselves. On track for a 3-1 start. A bit of luck last week, could have easily been 4-0. And what a game they have next week. They'll be part of the big doubleheader over there at Mount Smart Stadium in Auckland. They take on the Melbourne Storm, having beaten them already this season in round 2. Come together again in round 5. And what a clash that will be. The Storm, their form leaves a little bit to be desired at the moment. Right off the pace. Tigers, and they might even be favourites for that game. Deserve to be so, given what happened, of course, in round 2 and their form since, as Moses kicks it down the short side. He's done well there. That's barely a metre into the field of play. Lola here brings it back. Has been good in the fullback role again today after being beaten. His first catch of the ball, Will Smith beat him on a chip kick by Mitch Moses. The only point so far for the Parramatta Eels. The Tigers have only given up 3 tries to this point. If they can keep it that way all the way to full time, it'll be some 29 years since a team has managed to only concede 3 tries in the opening 4 rounds. The Bulldogs back in 1989 was the last team to do it.
And on top of that, look at the quality of opposition they've had. They've played the Roosters, they've played the Melbourne Storm. 2 of the best attacking teams in the competition, 2 of the favourites heading into 2018. And the Brisbane Broncos, considered a top 4 team by most. So it's a big effort.
They've made a rare mistake here today, just their 3rd error of the game, in fact. Parramatta get a chance here, 45 metres out, and they are still at less than 40% as far as the possession rate.
Get in, Chewy.
13 completed sets more. 13 completed sets more, the Tigers. That's how many. The difference between the tackles is almost 100.
Moses monstered there by Lawrence off the scrum win. There's Will Smith. Taking out a dummy half. With their injury concerns, the Eels. And while we're looking ahead, as we were with the Tigers, Parramatta next weekend take on Penrith right here. Sunday afternoon affair. Doesn't get much easier for Parramatta with the form that the Panthers are in, Brandy. They're doing it nicely. Long right-hand side here. They turn it back underneath, though. Norman finding Moiroa, who was able to bounce through the tackle there of Russell Packer. Brown out of dummy half, finds Moses. Now Edwards keeps it going. Michael Jennings for George Jennings. The Eels have scored. Michael and George combining. Long right-hand side. And the passing was slick.
Oh, wasn't it slick from the brothers? Michael to George. But the work from Big T-Rex back in a Parramatta jumper for the first time in 10 years. Just hits the defence and pops it up nicely for Jennings. That's Michael, who did a great job as he was falling to get it out to his younger brother. Only 3 line breaks for the Eels so far. They score their second try of the afternoon. A little too late, but it did look good.
It was a tough one for Kevin Nguama. He knew Big T-Rex was isolated on Luke Brooks. Luke Brooks has done an outstanding job, though, so far this afternoon. But you're right, Brandy. Slick passing. Kevin Nguama had to turn in. That created the numbers. And then Michael on to George.
The effect of Tony Williams. What he can do in a rugby league field with his presence. Just a little glimmer of it right there. Moses against his old club, hawking it back. Tremendous kick. Had some carry on that one. Tony Williams, he can be a force, can't he, Brett Finch?
He certainly can, wasn't he? He's had a lean few years, the Big T-Rex, but he showed right there the skill he has. Just the attention he draws from the outside man, which created space for Jennings. But Big T-Rex back in Parramatta colours. He's a Parramatta junior. If he can get plenty of game time, he can certainly be a bonus for Brad Arthur and his boys. And let's see if he causes any more havoc here with 16 minutes to go.
Following our coverage here at ANZ Stadium of the Tigers and the Eels, NRL 360 will be along with Ben Ikin and Paul Kent. And then the weekend wrap as well. Yvonne Sampson, Mick Ennis, James Hooper. They've separated Kenty and Hoops tonight. Put them on different shows after they almost came to blows last week on NRL 360.
Very heated debate. We'll get into it again, the boys, I'm sure. Strong run from Penny Terapo. They've missed that. Terapo playing his first game of the year for the Eels in the top grade.
Here's Williams going towards Luke Brooks, carrying the halfback with him. It's been an impressive return to blue and gold colours here today, as right across that left-hand side. Norman looking up on the outside with Terapo. Well handled, though, by Cheekham and Marshall. He puts it in the air, Corey Norman. Going across, the Tigers don't want to touch it. Tap back in, play on for Parramatta. Lola here, still there. He had 2 or 3 dips at it. Kenny Edwards falls on top of it. And the Eels aren't quite done with yet.
Jared, this will be back to tackle 1. I have no try. Can you confirm the Tigers ground the ball first? Can you also just have a look at the back as well from the kick?
Well, there's got to be some doubt on this being grounded by West.
Well, there's Kenny Edwards immediately outside Corey Norman.
The left side kick chasing Parramatta is onside. Nathan Brown is on the inside. He's offside.
Does Nathan Brown continue on to be within 10 when the ball comes to ground? From what we saw there, you'd say no. Tap backwards by Hoffman. There is Brown. You can see some 15 metres.
The ball is knocked backwards by Parramatta. The hand of that player remains always in front of the ball.
He still behaves behind Kenny Edwards, who then kicks the ball. So all players are onside.
The second kick by Tony Williams. The Parramatta right side chase is onside.
It's just dependent whether Thompson grounds the football first.
Well, that's the question Gavin Badger asked, didn't he? Lola here tries to knock it dead from
knocked backwards by Tigers twice.
He tried to knock it dead from a long way out. Oh, he saved it. Corey Thompson has saved the day.
And the ball is grounded in goal by Corey Thompson. We have a decision.
Wow.
Good work, Gavin Badger.
There was nothing in it. Corey Thompson is having an incredible 2018 to this point.
Lola here was trying to knock it dead from 5 metres in the field of play. Just fall on the ball. A massive play by Thompson.
He kept scooping at it like it was a lucky dip next door. No fluffy toy for Tui. Corey Thompson's taking home the pick of the stand. Whatever you want, Corey. Alvaro. He'll play it here just outside the 30. There's Moiroa. Russell Packer doing nicely from Marker there with some help from Rocco. 30 points to 18 would have been interesting. And they still might get there in this possession. They've used up 3. They're back inside the red zone. Here is Norman. Flat pass, maybe more than flat.
Yeah. Gee, I thought they got away with the last one. The last one was flat, and that one, it tipped over the edge.
Kurasomi Alvaa looks up, can't believe it, but there's no doubt the pass was forward out of the hands, and it doesn't matter what you say on the walkie-talkie, if you can't get the passes going in the right direction, you're in trouble.
Brown was worried as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Had a dummy half. Norman sweeping around from open down that short side. I thought there was a question mark over the first pass from Brown, and then there was no doubt about the second.
Stay with us. Hold with us.
What a view that is. How much longer will it look like that? That's the question. With stadium policy being rejigged and tweaked. The New South Wales government. It's not going to be knocked down, apparently. That's this week, anyway. By the time we get to next week, who knows what ANZ Stadium in the future might look like. Either way, it's going to be here in some shape or form, and so is the grand final until
next 25 years.
2042. A penalty for the Tigers. Here's Brooks, quick tap, he's away, and he's got some speed, we know that. He runs to Smith, who grabs him just outside the Eels 20. A big shift is on again here. Marshall looks inside, goes outside, passes on the bounce to Masters, who stands in the tackle, gives it off to Corey Thompson. He jinks and dives on the run around there from Russell Packer. He ends up with it. They've got the Eels working feverishly from sideline to sideline. Little out of dummy half. He finds Matalino. Marshall, close hand on the right edge. Goes to Robbie Rocco instead. He punches it in towards the post. Go to the left for Luke Brooks to grab a little touch on the way through by the Eels. Smith gets there, and they've done well to hang on. Tigers off the quick tap by Luke Brooks when it went to the right-hand side. Had Marshall's pass gone to the hand and not the ground, and they could have been in big trouble once again. Now Brown. Get some time filling in for Pritchard at dummy half. Now he's in a running roll, and now Norman. Out to Alvaa. Coming in quickly. Good tackle by Corey Thompson. Read that beautifully. Now the pass for Moses. Not quite a midfield bomb, but it'll go down to Tui Lola here, who lost it backwards between his legs. This will be interesting, the call. They're going to say it was backwards. So often in that situation, see the referee say you knocked it on, but they're happy that that one was backwards all the way. Now he loses it. And the tackle. Anthony Lesniak cleaning it up.
Well, he got lucky a couple of times there, Tui. I think he must have almost completely missed that, the kick.
Benji.
A couple of wayward ones from Benji. The last pass hit the ground, and now this one.
He apologises to his teammates there. Look at this. Just out the front of the hand.
So often just the simple plays, isn't it? Just a lazy pass at a dummy half, nothing doing. All you got to do is get the dummy half and pass it to somebody, and you just clock off and you throw a horror like that.
Particularly in the latter stages of each half when fatigue's involved. What a great shot that is.
Yeah, that was a tied pass.
It was a tied pass. That was my good pass.
And he's done well to come back from that ankle injury he suffered last week against the Broncos. He's able to see out the game and got through yesterday's final training session without too much bother.
10-day gap between games probably helped Benji be right for this one.
Alvaro. They'll play it here 10 metres out. And Smith at dummy half. Finds Moses. Here is Tony Williams. Chris Lawrence up in his face and did well to hit and stick in the tackle. Michael Jennings fires it through Moses. Then Norman kicking. Thompson under pressure. Going up above them and coming down with it. Josh Hoffman was able to hit the deck, keep the arm carrying the ball off the ground, and then extend it to score.
Well, if he kicks a goal, it's 30-18. We've still got plenty of time left. There's a mile of time left. 9 minutes. Josh Hoffman, you described it well, did a perfect job. Corey Thompson knew the kick was coming. He was well placed, but just couldn't get himself in a position to get up in the air. The ball was always headed over his head. Left him stranded on the ground, and then Hoffman just keeps that arm up long enough to get it in the in-goal area.
And I'm surprised they haven't tried that play earlier. Thompson, not the tallest of people. Obviously has a hell of a lot of ticker and great on his feet, but height is probably not his biggest strength. And Hoffman one-on-one, who's a great leaper and good under the high ball, just got up above him.
Second try for the Eels off a kick today. And the Tigers fans giving one of their former players a real razzing as he stands over the ball. He can't convert this one, Mitch Moses. It's away to the right-hand side and stays, importantly for the West fans, I think, a little bit of breathing space there with a 14-point lead as opposed to a 12-point lead. Had he converted that try, it stays at 30 points to 16. And Sydney Olympic Park has been putting on a show here today. A couple of shows. The Easter show in the background there. Olympic Baseball Stadium in the background. And ANZ. The kickoff will go down here to be taken by Corey Norman. Tim Manor brings it out, and we're not too far away from NRL 360 with Ben Eichen and Paul Kent following this game and the weekend wrap as well. Daniel Alvaro from Smith comes to Moiro. Here's Norman. Finds Mitch Moses. Goes to Smith. Stops on his run as he gets to Luke Brooks. He's such an improved defender on this left-hand side is the Tigers halfback.
I think they've got to ditch the out-the-back plays. They haven't worked today for the Eels, and that is even with Moses and Corey Norman, who puts this kick up, getting right at the advantage line. They're going to look for inside balls. They need to straighten things up. The best play we've seen is Mitch Moses down the short side with Tony Williams. That's been their play of the day, and it was Moses going at the defence.
It's Masters to work it away for the Tigers. Take a little back out there at dummy half. Comes to Mangama. Awful play the ball. Part of the reason, well, in fact, they're going to say that he wasn't pushed by the markers. But he was facing sideways of his own volition there, Kevin Mangama. He's given the Eels a chance here. 14 down, 6 minutes remaining. Long odds. The try here keeps the game alive.
Oh boy, that's messy, isn't it? With a chance to keep the game alive, there was some confusion there.
Lost ground off the tap restart.
Mitchell Moses was blowing up at his team.
With good reason, as goes through the hands of Brown. Terapo gives it to Moses. Norman on his outside. Avaa for the corner. He got there, but the ball might have been kept off the ground again, saving the day. It looked like it was Corey Thompson.
Tackle 3. I have a try.
I'm with you, Woz. I don't think he got it under there, and I think it was it the legs of Corey Thompson that denied this try. Somehow Avaa, who was collared at least 10 metres short of the try line, just kept pumping the legs. I think it might have touched the grass.
Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't have said so given that replay.
Well, I think it got in between his legs, and I think some part of the ball touched the ground. I don't think we're going to see an angle that will show it.
The referral was try.
Correct.
I say I was surprised with initially too many shadows there and too many arms and legs to see the ball clearly on the turf.
Thompson's done a remarkable job, but I think when his legs split, the weight of Avaa has got some part of the ball on the grass.
Possession is maintained by Parramatta. The live decision of try, there is insufficient evidence to overturn that live decision. We have a decision.
That was the important part of it. Gavin Badger said try after conferring with his sideline official. They do score the Parramatta. They get the green lights to make it 30 points to 20. And we know there's a stack of time left in this game. 5
minutes is an eternity in these sort of situations when a team starts to get on a roll. Boy, if Moses had have pushed that last one through the posts. It's exactly the same position.
This one, again, like the previous one, away to the right-hand side. 2 tries, both of them unconverted. In the last 4 minutes, Brett Finch.
Yeah, we might see a bit of footy played here by Parramatta. And this might just what they need to kickstart their season in a situation where they've got nothing to lose. They need to throw it around. It's been a really disjointed start to their campaign this year, but a bit of footy here with nothing to lose might be exactly what they need. And just on Kaiser Pritchard, he's fouled his HIA boys, so that'll be the last of him for this afternoon.
And they've looked a lot better, Parramatta, playing catch-up football. Yes, they have had a chunk of possession, which obviously helps, but they've come up with a couple of nice set plays.
Well, hopefully not too many Eels fans gave up the ghost too early and left the stadium. They're coming home with a rush here. Offloading the tackle for Edwards to play it. Now Terapo comes towards Cheekham. The Tigers just need a settling defensive. Boy, a flat pass there from Will Smith could have easily been ruled forward.
Easily.
They're back at the halfway line, though. Here's Norman giving it to Moses. Bypasses Michael to go to George Jennings. The 35 away. George with an offload. Back to Michael Jennings. Then Moses for Norman into the backfield. Standing. Dropping off in tackles the Tigers. They're 25 away. Just under 4 minutes remaining. Moses puts it in the air. Big catch here for Lola. Here he goes up. There was no real contest from the Eels. And Lola here grabs the ball for the Tigers. Boy, they needed that. Under huge pressure, being marched back down the field. Offloads coming with every tackle. Now it's Nangama to work it away.
Yeah, Chase just couldn't get themselves in a position to have a crack at the footy, which was disappointing for them. They are on a roll, the Eels. And time might just save the Tigers.
Last play here, had a cool head and a better kick. Brooks from inside the 40. Takes no chances, just rolls it down the middle of the field. Smith. Give it off to George Jennings. Brings it back to Eisenhuth. Got the first try of his NRL career earlier in this second half. Josh Hoffman. 2.5 remaining. They need to score in this set. Oh, did Kurosami Alva'a just do a hamstring?
Something, because he just stopped, didn't he? Yep.
It's a calf muscle maybe even. Now a chance. Williams. Alva'a in trouble. Out there on the left-hand side, can barely walk. Here's Moses back on the inside. Michael Jennings puts it down. And the Tigers are home here today. Russell Packer and Michael Jennings arguing the toss. George comes in as well. Kevin Nangama, the peacemaker there.
Just quickly, what a huge rush for Luke Brooks. One-on-one tackle there with Tony Williams. Brandy, you mentioned it earlier. His defence has been outstanding and a much improved part of his game. Yeah,
he's done a great job all afternoon. Finchy, you're right, and all season really. We know what halves get aimed, run at them on the edge there, and he's answered everything defensively.
Despite a little fade at the back end of the game here, the Tigers win for the 3rd time this season. Benji Marshall takes it out of play. And there'll be no hurry here from either team, you'd imagine, to set this scrum. Some rain around in the area here of Sydney Olympic Park, and indeed a little bit of lightning there as well. That might send the Easter show goers scurrying for cover.
Is this the end of the Easter show? Is it finished today? Or is it tomorrow? Tomorrow.
The Tigers fans in full voice. Hoffman works it away for the Eels. NRL 360 and the weekend wrap to follow. Here's Jennings. It's over the top of Luke Brooks. One of the few times we've seen that through the first month of the season. Tigers, as we mentioned, move on for a clash. Second one in 5 rounds against the Melbourne Storm. It's quite a draw they've been given. And they're doing nicely. There's Norman. Just outside the 40. The Eels, they look ahead with an 0-4 record for a clash against the Panthers. It gets no easy for them. An offload here. Terapo comes wide. Goes to Michael Jennings. Gives it off to George Jennings. Looking for another one. They'll be stopped here just outside the Tigers 10. Will they get to play the ball in time? Yes, they will. One last one. A kick across the field from Moses. Didn't have the depth on it. In fact, Norman got to it to make the catch, but the Tigers will hold him up. And despite a stumble defensively at the end of the game, they were too good for the Eels, especially in that opening half where their handling was outstanding. And they have their 3rd win in 4 games in 2018. They've beaten Parramatta 30 points to 20.